Beloved, there is a quiet strength in forgiveness. It is not the loud clenching of anger, nor the bitter song of revenge. Forgiveness is the soft release of chains that bind the heart. It is the sacred art of saying, I will not carry this burden any longer. I deserve to walk free. We all have been wounded. We all have been disappointed, perhaps by friends who betrayed us, by family who failed us, by strangers who did not see our humanity. And sometimes the one we must forgive is the face in the mirror. Forgiveness does not erase the wrong. It does not excuse cruelty, nor does it invite abuse to remain. What it does is open the window of the soul, allowing the fresh air of peace to enter. Understand this: forgiveness is not weakness, is not surrender, it is power. Power enough to heal your wounds, power enough to rewrite your story, power enough to say, I will not let bitterness poison my future. When we forgive, we unclench the fists of our spirit. We stop wrestling with ghosts. We give ourselves permission to rest, to breathe, to begin again. And oh, how beautiful it is to step into tomorrow unburdened, to laugh without the taste of yesterday's tears, to love again, not because the past was fair, but because the present deserves joy. Forgiveness is a gift, not to the one who wronged you, but to the one who longs for freedom. Beloved, there comes a time in every life when the weight of yesterday threatens to crush the promise of tomorrow. We carry wounds both seen and unseen tucked deep in the folds of our memory. We carry disappointments, betrayals, and regrets like heavy stones in a bag upon our backs. Some stones were handed to us by those we trusted. Others we picked up ourselves through choices we wish we could undo. And yet, here we stand, tired, heavy, and longing for relief. What is this relief we crave? It is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a single act, but an art, a lifelong practice of letting go. It is the soft release of chains that once kept us bound, the quiet surrender of anger that once consumed us, the gentle decision to walk free. Forgiveness is not something we do for others first, it is something we do for ourselves. But let us be clear, forgiveness does not erase the wrong. It does not excuse cruelty, nor does it mean we allow injustice to continue. It does not demand that you place yourself back in harm's way. No, forgiveness is something higher. It is a declaration that what happened will not have the power to define you. It is a choice to no longer let the wound bleed into your future. It is the boldness to say, I will not let this pain have the last word in my story. Many people believe forgiveness is weakness. They believe it means surrender, silence, or passivity. But I tell you, forgiveness is the purest form of strength. Anyone can hold on to bitterness. It requires no courage at all to grip a grudge, but to release it, to unclench the fist of your heart, that takes bravery. Forgiveness is strength wrapped in softness, power clothed in humility. The weak cannot forgive. It is the privilege of the strong. And while forgiving others may feel hard, sometimes the greatest mountain to climb is forgiving ourselves. How often do we replay the mistakes of our past? How often do we look in the mirror and whisper words of blame? If only I had done this differently. If only I had chosen better. If only I had been stronger. These thoughts are chains, and they bind us from becoming who we were created to be. To forgive yourself is to finally look in the mirror and say, Wes, I made mistakes. Yes, I fell. But I am more than my failures. I am worthy of love. I am capable of rising again. Until we release ourselves, we will always walk half broken. Unforgiveness is a thief. It robs us silently, sometimes without us noticing. It poisons our future, clouds our present, and keeps us bound to our past. Carrying anger is like clutching burning coals in your hand, hoping the fire will burn someone else. But it never does. It only burns you slowly, painfully, until joy is drained from your spirit. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, but it does mean releasing. It means putting down the coals, walking away from the fire, and choosing not to be burned anymore. Forgiveness is the doorway to healing. Wounds cannot close if bitterness keeps them raw. Anger is salt on the wound. It stings, it festers, it prolongs the pain. Forgiveness, however, is balm, it is medicine. It is the soothing whisper that tells your heart, you can rest now, you can begin to heal. Healing may take time, and forgiveness may not happen in a single breath. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes months, sometimes years. But every step toward letting go is a step toward wholeness. Be gentle with yourself. Healing is not a race, it is a journey. And as you walk this journey, you will discover something profound. Forgiveness protects your spirit. Hatred and resentment are heavy loads to carry. They bend the back, cloud the eyes, and steal the laughter from your lips. Forgiveness lightens the load. It allows you to lift your head again, to see beauty again, to laugh without the taste of bitterness in your mouth. It keeps your soul radiant when darkness tries to cover it. And oh, how beautiful it is when forgiveness makes room for love again. A clenched heart cannot receive love. When you are filled with anger, there is no space for kindness, no room for joy, no capacity for trust. But forgiveness unclenches the heart. It softens you, it creates space. And in that space, love can bloom again. Perhaps not from the one who wronged you, but from life itself, from new relationships, from the future that awaits. Love is waiting, but it needs room. Forgiveness is how we prepare that room. The greatest truth about forgiveness is this: it is a gift, but not first to the one who hurt you. The greatest gift is given to you. Forgiveness restores your peace. It renews your joy. It allows you to sleep without nightmares and wake without burdens. It allows you to breathe freely again. It is not about forgetting the past, but about reclaiming the present. It is about saying, I choose peace over pain, joy over sorrow, freedom over bondage. But beloved, forgiveness is not easy. It asks much of us. It asks us to release when we want to hold on. It asks us to trust when trust feels impossible. It asks us to love ourselves enough to let go of what is killing us inside. But forgiveness is worth it, for in forgiving we do not lose, we gain. We gain peace, we gain strength, we gain freedom. So today I ask you, what chains are you carrying? What burdens have you allowed to follow you into this day? What anger still lingers in your heart? Set it down. Let it go. You do not need it anymore. Forgiveness does not erase your story. It redeems it. Forgiveness does not silence your pain. It transforms it. And forgiveness does not make you whole. Walk in forgiveness, beloved, and you will walk in freedom. There is nothing more delicate, more precious, more sacred than the spirit within you. It is the wellspring of your joy, the keeper of your peace, the quiet place where your dreams are born. Your spirit is the center of who you are, the part of you that sings even in silence, that shines even when the world grows dim. Yet this spirit is not immune to harm. The greatest danger it faces is not the storms of life or the hardships of the world, but the slow, quiet erosion caused by bitterness and hate. Bitterness is a thief. It does not storm through the door with loud threats. It slips in quietly, unnoticed at first. It grows in the corners of your heart, feeding on old wounds, living off unhealed memories. And before you know it, bitterness has clouded your vision, making the world seem darker than it is. Hate, too, is a burden heavier than any stone. It does not simply wound the one it targets. It corrodes the soul of the one who carries it. Hate eats from the inside out, leaving you hollow, restless, unable to find peace. Forgiveness, beloved, is the shield that protects your spirit from these poisons. When you choose to forgive, you are choosing to guard the tender parts of yourself from being consumed. You are declaring, I will not let anger poison the beauty within me. I will not allow hate to be the lens through which I see my life. Forgiveness is the guardian at the gate of your soul, keeping the fires of resentment from burning down the home of your heart. When you hold on to anger, it begins to shape you. It bends your back. It hardens your face. It steals the laughter from your lips. You may think you are punishing the one who hurt you, but the truth is you are punishing yourself. Every thought of revenge, every bitter memory is like carrying a burning coal in your hand. You clutch it tightly, hoping the fire will leap out and scorch the one who wronged you, but it never does. It burns only you, and the longer you hold it, the deeper the burn. Forgiveness is the act of dropping the coal. It is not pretending the flame was never real. It is refusing to let it burn you any longer. When you release the anger, you allow your spirit to breathe again. Your shoulders lift, your chest opens, your heart beats lighter. You no longer wake each morning with the taste of bitterness in your mouth. You reclaim the energy that anger once stole from you and redirect it toward living fully. To forgive is not weakness, it is strength. It is choosing to protect your spirit when every part of your flesh wants to fight back. It is choosing peace when chaos is easier, choosing light when darkness is more familiar. Forgiveness is not surrender, it is victory. It is the refusal to let hate write your story. It is the declaration that no one, not even those who wronged you, will have the power to pollute your soul. Think of your spirit like a garden. If you allow bitterness to take root, it spreads like weeds, choking out the flowers of joy and gratitude. Soon all that remains are thorns, and you wonder why nothing beautiful grows. Forgiveness, however, is the gardener's hand pulling out the weeds, loosening the soil, creating space for new life. With every act of forgiveness, you make room for love to bloom again. With every release, you allow peace to take root where once only pain grew. Forgiveness does not mean you forget the lessons of the past. It does not mean you deny the harm or diminish the truth. It means you choose not to live with poisoned soil. It means you decide to tend to your own heart, to keep it pure, to keep it whole. The world will wound you, yes, but you do not have to become the wound. Forgiveness is how you keep your spirit radiant even in the presence of shadows. Hate, beloved, is too heavy a load to carry. It drains the body, it clouds the mind, it chains the spirit. And here is the truth: you were not created to carry hate. You were created to love, to give, to shine, to rise. That is why hatred feels so exhausting, because it is not your natural state. Forgiveness restores you to yourself. It returns you to peace. It allows you to walk in your original design, free, light, unburdened. There will always be voices that tell you holding a grudge is power, that keeping score is strength. But you know better. you know that real strength is in release. Real power is in protection, protection of the spirit that deserves to remain unbroken. Forgiveness does not make you naive, it makes you wise. It does not leave you weak, it makes you unshackable. For no weapon of hate can pierce a spirit wrapped in forgiveness. So ask yourself, who have you allowed to live inside your heart rent-free? Whose memory still poisons your days? Who are you given the power to darken your spirit? Release them, not for their sake, but for yours. Guard your spirit. Do not let bitterness set up camp in the home where peace should live. Do not let hate sit at your table and feast on your joy. Forgiveness is the eviction notice to anger. It is the key that locks the door to resentment. And when you forgive, you will notice something. Your spirit shines again. Your laughter returns, your eyes brighten, your steps feel lighter. This is the evidence of protection. When your heart is not consumed by hate but filled with love, when your soul is not bitter but sweet, when your spirit is not heavy but free. Forgiveness is not easy, it is not instant, but it is necessary if you wish to protect the most sacred part of yourself. Because what good is success if your spirit is bitter? What good is achievement if your heart is heavy with hate? What good is tomorrow if today is chained to yesterday's pain? Protect your spirit, beloved. Guard it as you would the most precious treasure, for indeed it is. Forgive not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgive not because the past can change, but because your future still can. Forgive because your spirit is worth more than bitterness, your heart is worth more than hate, and your life is worth more than chains. Forgive and protect your spirit. From that protection lies your peace, your freedom, your wholeness, and your light. Beloved, we have walked together through the valleys of pain, through the shadows of resentment, and into the soft light of forgiveness. And now as we stand at this moment of reflection, I invite you to look inward, for the conclusion of this message is not a closing but a new beginning. Forgiveness is not simply a word we speak, it is a life we choose. It is a way of carrying ourselves differently in the world. It is the unclenching of the heart, the deep breath after the storm, the decision to no longer let anger sit at the head of the table in our lives. Forgiveness is not something you offer once and forget. It is something you practice daily because wounds resurface, memories return, and bitterness knocks at the door again and again. But every time you choose forgiveness, you choose freedom. Every time you let go, you lighten the load. Every time you rise above, you discover the true strength of your spirit. So let us remember, forgiveness is not about erasing the past. It is about reclaiming the present and safeguarding the future. What has been done to you cannot always be undone, but what you carry from it can be changed. You may not have been able to stop the hurt, but you can stop the cycle of pain from repeating in your heart. This is the art of forgiveness, to take what was meant to break you and transform it into something that frees you. Do not think that forgiveness is forgetting. No, beloved, you may never forget what was done, and that is human. But forgiveness is the choice to no longer live in the shadow of that memory. It is the decision to rise above the ruins and say, I will not be defined by this. I will not lie bitter when I was born to lie free. Forgiveness does not erase your story. It redeems it. It paints beauty on the canvas of brokenness. And hear me well, forgiveness is not permission for others to hurt you again. It is not an invitation for abuse to continue. Forgiveness does not mean returning to toxic places or reopening doors that lead to destruction. Instead, forgiveness says, I release you not for your sake, but for mine. I will not carry the poison of your actions in my veins anymore. It is not about reconciliation with everyone. Sometimes forgiveness is a private act between your soul and your creator, whispered in the silence of your own heart. Forgiveness, beloved, is strength. Anyone can hold a grudge. Anyone can let anger fester. That requires no wisdom, no courage, no vision, but to forgive. That is the strength of kings and queens, the courage of healers, the wisdom of the free. Forgiveness is not the absence of justice, but the presence of peace. Justice may still be sought in the world, but forgiveness makes sure your spirit remains whole while you seek it. Think of it this way, unforgiveness is a prison, but the lock is on the inside. You may spend years waiting for an apology, waiting for someone to change, waiting for life to return what was taken from you, but waiting keeps you bound. Forgiveness, however, is the key you hold in your own hand. You do not need anyone else to unlock your freedom. You do not need permission to heal. You can choose to walk out of the prison today by simply releasing the weight from your heart. And what of forgiving yourself? That perhaps is the deepest work of all. Too many people life chained to their own regrets. They replay mistakes in their minds until the past suffocates their present. But beloved, you must understand you are more than the worst thing you've ever done. You are more than your failures. To forgive yourself is to acknowledge that you are human, that you are learning, and that you still deserve joy. You cannot live fully while punishing yourself endlessly. The lesson of the past was meant to guide you, not chain you. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to becoming you were meant to be all along. let us also remember that forgiveness is a journey. Some wounds cut so deep that the path to letting go is not a straight road, but a winding one. You may forgive today and find the bitterness return tomorrow. That does not mean you have failed. It means the process is still unfolding. Be patient with yourself. Healing is not an instant act, but a gentle unfolding, like the blooming of a flower. Trust the process and honor every small step you take toward peace. Now let us look at the gift that forgiveness gives us: freedom. Freedom to love again, freedom to trust again, freedom to laugh without bitterness in your voice. Freedom to see life not through the haze of anger, but through the clarity of peace. When you forgive, you do not lose, you gain. You gain the ability to walk unburdened. You gain the courage to live fully. You gain the peace that resentment could never provide. Forgiveness is the most generous gift you will ever give, but remember, it is not first given to others. It is given to yourself. The moment you forgive, your heart becomes lighter, your spirit becomes stronger, and your path becomes clearer. Forgiveness is how you reclaim your life. So as we conclude, I ask you to look at your heart. Who have you been carrying inside you like a thorn? Is it a friend who betrayed you, a parent who failed you, a stranger who wounded you, or perhaps yourself? Whatever name comes to your mind, whatever memory rises up within you, that is where your work begins. Them not for their sake, but for yours. Do not let them hold you prisoner any longer. Forgiveness is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter filled with light instead of darkness, joy instead of sorrow, freedom instead of chains. If you choose forgiveness, you choose life. So I leave you with this: beloved, you are not what happened to you. You are not the wounds you carry. You are not the anger you've been holding. You are greater. You are stronger. You are freer than you know. Step into forgiveness. Step into healing. Step into the art of living whole again. And when you do, the world will see in your eyes the beauty of a spirit unburdened, the power of a heart at peace, and the grace of one who has truly learned the art of forgiveness. Walk in that grace. Walk in that freedom. Walk in forgiveness, the art of forgiveness, healing through